What can also work against you as a writer is if you've got a character that's slightly too predictable. A good character has to speak through what they don't say as much as what they do say. And by this, we talk about their limitations. What are they hiding from us as a reader? What are the things that they don't want to talk about? In Us by David Nichols, the classic example that we use in the first writing course, we've got a middle-aged man who is not as open about his feelings as his wife is open about her feelings. And you feel a lot of what he is saying is more bluster because he's angry at the world for not being repressed like he was taught to be when he was young, and he therefore struggles with his relationship with his wife, his relationship with his son, and the book works on how he can counter that. And it works really well as a lesson in characterization of what he finds he can talk about, even as a narrator, and what he finds he can't. And then the reader is, through that, also able to fill in the gaps and understand what they are missing from this narrative. So you don't have to be too blatant, you can have nuance in your work. Then we also look at flaws and mistakes, because having a character that is too perfect can be a little bit dull as well. So Margaret Atwood uses the great analogy of you would not want your main character as a flatmate. In a way, you want your main character to have these flaws, you want them to have these imperfections that you can zero in on and either draw the reader's attention to them or considering how they can overcome those flaws. There's nothing better than a flawed character that you end up liking. It feels that they somehow won you over and you like them even more compared to a very saintly character, which you find yourself a little bit turned off by because it's very hard to relate to a saint. Flaws, limitations, and mistakes create something that we as individuals all can relate to, and that creates a novel that we can emotionally get behind. And then it's all about toning down where you may have kind of gone into caricature mode or stereotype mode, or you want your reader to feel this character is so one way, you've almost made them very one-dimensional. Looking at some characters who are, say, pompous like Douglas in Us, looking at some characters, have you just made them too unlikable? Have you gone a bit too full tilt where the reader ends up putting down the book because they dislike your character that much? And I've seen this happen in a lot of good writing. Some really good writers have written something and I can't floor it, but I've had to say in a submission meeting is I really don't want to read on. I just really don't like this book. And that's sad. That's sad. It's sad to dislike good writing, but we can't all just read a novel because we think it's good writing. There has to be strong characters who make us feel something, to draw us in, to keep us reading, even if we're commissioning editors. On the whole, a character doesn't have to be likable, that's the thing, but you want your reader to want to spend time with that character. That is the thing about novels. They involve a longer term commitment than watching a film does. So if you have a character that is in some way a turn off, then that will influence how much time your reader would want to spend with that character, i.e. how much time your reader would want to spend reading your novel. This doesn't mean that your reader doesn't enjoy a dislikable character. More, I find the biggest turn-offs when it comes to writing, when it comes to characterization, it's these whiny characters that the character is self-pitying to the extreme that you just want them to essentially grow up. And I think that to me is more worrying than a dislikable character. So have a look at those facets and see if you can do things to make your character somebody that you want to spend time with, and have a host of characters that all are nicely nuanced, have things going on that will make them interesting, and blend that combination of likability and dislikability, so you've got something that's interesting